Now we're going to have a keynote speaker come up and talk to you more about why this work is very important, not only now, but moving forward. Once he finishes communicating with us and speaking, we're going to transition back into the main auditorium. From there, we'll have our guest of the evening, a team from WSSU themselves, who will share with us one of their projects that they have been developing over time and that will, they're in partnership with the university to get moved forward. So at this time, I want to introduce to you all Dr. Robert Blaine. Dr. Robert Blaine is the Senior Executive and Director for the National League of Cities, Leadership and Education, Advancement and Development Center. LEAD consists of an institute for Youth, Education, and Families, the local infrastructure hub in the National League of Cities University. LEAD is dedicated to building opportunities in communities through technical assistance, leadership development, and engagement. Most recently, Dr. Blaine served as the City of Jackson's Chief Administrative Officer under Mayor Chakwal Lumumba. In that role, he oversaw the city's 2,200 employees and managed the annual budget of more than $500 million. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Dr. Blaine to share with you more information about his organization and why this initiative is important.
Good afternoon. Y'all didn't hear me. Good afternoon. All right, I feel like I'm in the South again. That's wonderful. As was said, my name is Robert Blaine. I'm with the National League of Cities. And one of the things that I was incredibly excited to see today was the incredible talent and brilliance of our young folks. Give them all a big round of applause. As was said, I work with the National League of Cities, and we are the only organization of what they call the Big Seven. So the Big Seven is the National League of Governors, the National League of County Administrators, the National Association of, what's some of the other ones? Cities, counties, municipalities, the National Association of Counties, all of those are part of the Big Seven. NLC is the only one of the Big Seven that actually has an African-American CEO. His name is Clarence Anthony, and he is the CEO of the National League of Cities. And we work to advocate for cities to the federal government. So one of the things that we do is that we lobby on the behalf of cities to the federal government, but we also work with communities in order to implement programs there. So as was said, my role is that I'm a senior executive with the National League of Cities, but before I came to NLC, I was the Chief Administrative Officer for the city of Jackson, Mississippi. So who can tell me what a Chief Administrative Officer is? Somebody raise your hand and tell me what that is. Somebody here in the back. Yes, you, sir. I see you. What's a Chief Administrative Officer? Yep, right there. With a black t-shirt and you got some orange on it. What's a Chief Administrative Officer? Do you know what that is? No? Who can help him out? Who knows what a Chief Administrative Officer is for a city? Anybody know? Here in the back table back here. What's a Chief Administrative Officer for a city? Can you tell me? Nobody knows. Okay, well, I'll tell you what it is. A Chief Administrative Officer is like a city manager. It is the person that runs the city. So the Chief Administrative Officer is responsible for all the departments in the city. So the Planning Department, the Public Works Department, every department in the city reports to the Chief Administrative Officer. You're the one that is like the quarterback for the city, and you report directly to the mayor. So I did that for 4 years in the city of Jackson. We had every kind of crisis that you could imagine in the city of Jackson. And many of you might have heard about the challenges that we've had recently with water in the city of Jackson, right? Infrastructure is a challenge that's happening all over the country. And so the ways that you were building solutions for the thorny issues that challenge cities today is such an important role. And I just want to say again how important that is and how much I really believe in the work that you're doing. One of the reasons that I believe in that is because before being a chief administrator officer, I was a provost at a college. So I ran a college. I was the provost at Tougaloo College in Jackson, Mississippi. And part of my work there was really thinking about how do we have learning environments that are focused on the kinds of challenges that you all are focusing on today. And then prior to that, I was a dean at Jackson State University. And at Jackson State University, I had a crazy title. My title was Dean of Undergraduate Studies and Cyber Learning. Cyber learning, what in the world is that, right? The idea of being a dean of cyber learning meant that back in the Stone Ages, when I went to school, there was one way that we taught students. But students today live in a totally new environment, a totally new world, a world of ubiquitous information. You live in a world where there is not a question about facts. You can instantly look up just about any fact in the world. When I was in school, you had to go and look in some old encyclopedia, maybe that had some old facts from 20, 30 years ago. You had to do research across several different academic journals or whatever, but there was no such thing as instant facts at your fingertips. And so thinking about what education looks like in a world where everybody has information at their fingertips and how they use information to create new knowledge is exactly what you all are doing. So the Institute for Youth Education, we are an opportunity engine. Our goal is to work with cities in order to create opportunities for the people that live there. So we focus on all the kinds of programs that happen in cities, and we try and make sure that we're helping cities to create those opportunities. So the kinds of work that you're doing today are the kinds of opportunities that we want to be able to help connect. So just to give you a few examples of some of the programs that we have. Right now we are launching a program with one of my directors called Early Learning Nation. And this is focused on outcomes for children from birth till age 6. Really thinking about how they have the kind of infrastructure to be able to support the growth that they need. We also have a program called Reimagining Public Safety. And as you have seen with the tragic events that happened in Memphis recently, we have issues with public safety in our community. And ways that we can rethink what public safety looks like and how we engage with communities is also a part of our work. One of the challenges of the pandemic is that we have lots of students that got disconnected from workforce and learning. Lots of students that stopped out or fell out during the pandemic. And so we have a program called Youth Excel that is using STEM pathways as a way of trying to reconnect youth back into workforce and to learning opportunities. And we have a program called Cities of Opportunity, and this is really thinking about data and all of the things that surround health in a community. So when we think about the kinds of societal impacts to health, what we call the comprehensive impacts of health, all of those things are a part of the way that we think about health and what that means with racial equity. And then finally, one of the programs that we're running is called the Local Infrastructure Hub. And I wanted to highlight this program because it's very much akin to what you all are doing. So one of the problems that we saw was that there is a new law that was just passed called the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the IIJA, or also called the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. It is trillions of dollars, that are available to cities. I'll say that again. It is trillions of dollars that are available to cities. Many of these cities are cities that you could connect with and that you could work with. The problem is that most cities are not big cities. There's only a few big cities in the country. There are over 19,000 cities in the United States. 18,000 of those cities have a population 150,000 residents and less. The large majority of cities in the country are what we call small to mid-sized cities. The problem with those cities is that they don't have the infrastructure, the kinds of data that they need to connect with the trillions of dollars that are coming down from the federal government. So that was a huge problem statement, just like the problem statements that you guys are working on. And so what we said was, how can we provide a platform so that we can solve some of the data challenges that cities are having when they're trying to connect to these trillions of dollars that are available? And so what we did was we built what we called our Federal Grant Navigation Equity Dashboard. And this is a big data tool that aggregates hundreds of data streams across over 25,000 cities, towns, and villages across the entire country. Where now I can go to a city. This is the live version of the dashboard here. And you'll see that there's a framework. We've organized the data by demographics. So you can look under all kinds of demographics. You can break it down by disadvantaged communities, their economy, what's happening in the environment, what's happening in healthcare, what's happening in risk and resiliency. And then I can go across a community. And let's say, for example, this is right now looking at Montgomery, Alabama. If I wanted to look at housing, which I saw several presentations on today, and then I wanted to look at internet connectivity in housing. And specifically, I wanted to see the number of households with broadband of any type, because I want to be able to write a grant for this city to be able to build broadband networks in that city. I can instantly look at the city of Birmingham, Alabama. Montgomery, Alabama. And what do you notice when you look at the map? What's the difference in the colors when you look at the map? Does anybody see any difference there? What's the difference? One side is dark blue, the other side is light blue, right? Dark blue is a concentration of access to broadband. Light blue is the lack. And do you see how the city is very much divided east to west? It's also divided on color lines also. So if you look at these dark blue sections, you can see the demographics of that part of the population. So you can see in census tract 27, that census tract is 55% white, right? But if I go across the dividing line to census tract 16, you see that now that census tract is almost 60% black. And you see the drop in broadband availability. This is the way that we're trying to use data to drive federal dollars into communities that need it the most. So we can understand what the demographics are, we can understand what the data is telling us, and then we can use that to work with those two communities to understand how the data of disadvantage is built across communities, and then have the impact of trying to drive federal dollars into those communities. With this program, our goal is to redistribute $650 billion towards underserved communities, and to really think about the ways that we can drive federal dollars towards the communities that need it the most. So I'm going to wrap up pretty quickly here because I know we're running short on time. So one of the things that we're really excited about is what we consider this to be, which is an ecosystem of student talent and innovation for cities. And I really believe that this is an important tool that we have here to think about what this ecosystem can look like. And if you notice, the center of the picture is the family, right? People in communities. And what I'm really excited about are all the ways that you all have thought about how you're going to impact, better the opportunities for people in communities. Cities exist in order to make people's lives better. And our goal is to be able to find the kinds of ecosystems that are going to facilitate that. We have student talent. There is a richness of student talent. We've seen that all day long today. Amazing talent that's in the room. We have city challenges, all kinds of city challenges that are all over the map. Everything from challenges of housing to information to simply how people understand how groundwater works in their community. We have innovation. And the innovations that you all are bringing to the table and the ways that those innovations can actually impact communities. And then finally, we have the opportunity now to think about how we can implement your innovations in communities in order to drive the betterment of community. And so it's this ecosystem that we want to think about how we can support. And our goal is to be able to support the work that you all are doing and thinking about how that work can actually be implemented in a city. What does it look like when you're able to hit the ground and beta test that work? And then what does it look like to scale it so that it's actually impacting more and more communities across the globe? And we want to see that wheel happen time after time after time, because what that is doing is creating a pipeline. And the goal is that we create a pipeline of opportunity for you all to think about how you're going to change the lives of people in communities. So I just want to say how incredibly excited I am about the work that you're doing, how excited I am about this program, and to say that the National League of Cities, we are here to support you, and we want to be able to work with you to think about how we can make this and grow this initiative. So thank you very much.